This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
I feel like we've been salivating over this week one college football slate for a decade at this point, and it is finally here. We are one day away from Texas versus Ohio State. We are so close now to LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, 2 days away. And of course, Bill Belichick's debut coming up on Monday. It can't get any better than this, I don't think. Nice little appetizer last night, too. We're going to break down week one of college football by talking today with Riley Thomas of FanDuel Research, picking his brain on his favorite bets across all those key games and the entirety of week one. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research. Joined here as mentioned by Riley Thomas. Check him out on X at _Riley8. You can find him at FanDuel Research, where he is a writer for us covering college football, NFL, baseball, basketball, college stuff, all across the board. Riley wears many, many hats. Riley, though, I feel kind of bad having you on today because I know you're probably still recovering from the Micah Parsons trade. You've got this emotional roller coaster of being a Cowboys fan with the Micah Parsons trade, and then tomorrow your Buckeyes are hosting Texas. So I feel bad for having you, forcing you into public in this tumultuous time. How are you? How genuinely? How are you doing today?
Well, I knew the Micah stuff was going to be brought up. It's unavoidable. My phone was just blowing up yesterday. Just everybody. I have a friend that's actually a Packers fan too, so it was
oh man,
can't avoid that conversation. He's all excited and stuff. But I'm just going to focus on Ohio State and college football back. So I'm excited. But I don't. I could rant for 30 minutes if I really wanted to about the whole Micah thing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I guess I'll worry about that when they're getting smashed by the Eagles on Thursday. So
that's actually less than a week away. I forgot about that too. You've got that as the first game of the year, so you get to watch you get the high of watching Ohio State Saturday, but then the turnaround of Island Game Cowboys after they trade a superstar player, that seems like worst case scenario.
Yeah. And on the road against the team that is probably my most despised team in the NFL. So it makes it even better. But
my thoughts are with you in this very difficult time. I'm hoping that Ohio State can pull it off on Saturday to make things a bit better, but that spread is tightened for Ohio State and Texas. We're going to break down that, talk to Riley about that game, his thoughts on that one. We'll break down LSU, Clemson, and Notre Dame, Miami, and get Riley's favorite bets across this very fun week one slate as well. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast, because next week we have got shows Thursday through Friday for you, and then the following week Monday through Friday. So we are back to our everyday schedule here on Covering the Spread, getting you set for all the NFL and college football breakdowns you could possibly need. Going to go through every single week one NFL game on Tuesday with you with my spread and total predictions. And then, of course, college football Wednesday, NFL breakdown on Thursday, and NFL player props Friday. All right here on the Covering the Spread podcast feed. So search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe if you like what you hear. If it's a 5-star rating and review as well, of course, all these shows, once again, going up on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Leave us a thumbs up if you like what you hear there, but also subscribe and turn on notifications for all of this great programming on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. FanDuel is giving you a reason to lock into the college football season early. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's right. Bet $5 on any bet, and if you win, you'll walk away with $300 in bonus bets to use all over the app. You can use those bonus bets in week one lines, Heisman futures, over-unders, player props, whatever you've got circled on the college football calendar. FanDuel is easy to use, safe, and when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around, no hassle, just straight to your account. So if you got a team, a take, or a gut feeling before kickoff, now's the time to back it. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit MD Gambling Help in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text OPEN-Y in New York. Now, Riley, before we talk about week number 1, let's talk big picture here. Are there any teams you're especially bullish on entering this year you may want to snag futures on before week 1 officially fully gets underway?
Yeah. As far as win totals go, I got a clear favorite here, and it's Indiana going over 8.5 wins. A team that I was on a lot last year, and I just don't see a reason that they can't repeat the way they played last year. Obviously, the schedule is a little tougher this year. They have Illinois, Oregon, Penn State all on the schedule. That's 3 teams in the top 12 of the preseason poll. But outside of that, schedule still doesn't look too bad. Their non-conferences against Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State doesn't really cause you too many headaches there. So they lost some guys like Curtis Rourke, stuff like that. But if anything, I think they upgraded at quarterback. You go out and get a legitimate NFL talent in Fernando Mendoza? Yeah, want to make sure I said that right. But he's projected top 10 in the upcoming NFL draft, pretty much everywhere. So, to me, that could just raise the ceiling even more of the offense. Most importantly, they have their top receivers back. I think Elijah Sarrett could be one of the better receivers in the country. I think he has that kind of upside. He was really good last year. On defense, they bring back some of their big guys like Mikael Kamara. He's going to be one of the better edge rushers in the Big Ten. So to me, I don't see the defense taking a big step back after they put up 8.9 yards per passing attempt last year, which was top 10 in the country. I think they have all the tools to repeat that kind of efficiency. Frankly, I think they're good enough to where they could, get one of those games I mentioned, say against Illinois or something like that. I don't know about double-digit wins, but I think they can get to that 9-win mark.
And right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, over 8.5 wins for Indiana is currently even money. You got it on the Indiana bandwagon pretty early last year. What did you see that kind of led you to having faith there? And does that also kind of translate over to this year as far as buying into this overall program being sustainable?
Yeah, obviously, no secret, I'm an Ohio State fan, so you're familiar with Indiana and just the Big Ten as a whole. And let's be honest, they just have never been anything. So to me, to turn around a program that quick and just, as much as Cignetti can be, cocky or this and that, it's refreshing for a program like that. You get somebody.
Also, it's earned. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's, I think he's a great coach. I think he's going to continue to have them relevant. I don't know about, contending into the playoff year in, year out, but hey, if they have a winning record year in, year out, that's a win for them. And I just overall, I think he's done so well with the transfer portal. That's also a team. I know the kind of backing they can have from their fan base and just kind of alumni and things like that. And obviously NIL is a big piece of this. And it seems like they have that right now. So again, that can keep them relevant with just replacing guys. And I just really like the way that their offense played last year too. And you bring back Elijah Sarrett and like I said, maybe upgrade your quarterback position. Yeah, it's kind of hard to just forget about what their offense did last year. I think they can do it again.
All right, I love it. We are riding with the Hoosiers once again, and that is Riley taking Indiana over 8.5 wins, even money at FanDuel Sportsbook before they get their season started. Okay, let's not bury the lead here. Let's break down this very fun game. It is number 1 Texas taking on number 3 Ohio State right now at FanDuel Sportsbook. Ohio State a 1.5 point favorite. That was 2.5 yesterday, so it has shortened. Money line is -110 both ways. So a coin toss, according to FanDuel. Total in this game is at 47.5. So Riley, Ohio State, your Buckeyes coming off a big win in the national championship, but new quarterback and JimSannes at quarterback. And he's kicking things off against Arch Manning and Texas. So straight up, who you got here for this huge matchup on Saturday?
Well, I'm a little bummed out with the way the market's been moving because I've been leaning Texas to win this outright. So obviously we're not getting the same value we were, say, a couple of days ago. To me, I think this game just comes down to, I know it's boring, but quarterback play. And then the other thing for me is just the pass rushes. I think both of the pass rushes in this game are going to get pressure. And Arch Manning is just a more known commodity compared to JimSannes. Manning at least got some reps last year, some important reps. He looked good. We know he's very athletic and mobile. He's strong. He can go make you some plays on the fly or go scramble and get you an important first down, things like that. I don't really know how mobile Sands going to be. I mean, we haven't really seen him at all. It's fun to go and watch his high school highlights and former 5-star and all this and that, but it's not the same. I mean, you're going to go out and have Colin Simmons like breathing down your neck and stuff. Like that's just different. And yeah, I mean, Ohio State's offensive line is interesting to me too, because I think as the year goes on, I think you could argue their offensive line is going to be better than it was last year. But the problem is that their offensive tackles are just like so inexperienced right now, because you got Phillip Daniels from Minnesota they go out and get, and it looks like he's going to fill in right tackle, but he only started 3 games last year. So for him, it's more of like hey, he's talented, he can turn it into a big piece, but he doesn't really have the experience. He hasn't played a team like Texas. And then on the other side, Austin, I believe it's pronounced Satterfield, he has been playing guard his entire career, and then they kick him out to left tackle. So now you got him starting at left tackle for the first time in this game, which, again, you're playing a talented defensive line that returns almost 70% of their sack production. So to me, I mean, Sain's going to be dealing with pressure. Obviously, he has great receivers and all this and that, but Texas had no problem putting all of their attention on Jeremiah Smith in the playoff. They held him to 1 catch for 3 yards. They roll out a bunch of disguised coverages, which is just going to make things even more difficult for Sain. So I just believe in Texas defense in this. And then on the other side, like Texas's left tackle is going to be playing with a club. So there's like questions about them and everything. And I still think Ohio State has a talented pass rush, but the difference here is like Manning. It's just, I mean, we know if he needs to, he can just keep scrambling. He'll just scramble you to death and just keep getting chunks. And that's actually a prop I like for this too, is for him to go over his rushing yards. I think it's set at 27.5, but overall, I think Manning's going to deal with pressure more, and I think that leads to a win here.
All right, so we're back in the Texas money line at -110. Let's dig into that Arch Manning prop you mentioned. They did bring him in last year, even when he wasn't starting. They bring him in for like these packaged kind of plays. 25.5 the number right now. Over is -114. How does the number sound to you with that being where it's at?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was 27.5, so even better. But that's part of the thought process too, right? Is I think you'll get some design runs out of him too. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when Ohio State played them in the playoff last year, I was just really hoping they didn't bring him in, because it was like,
right.
We all know how annoying it is where, your secondary is holding up and then somebody just, tucks it and gets 20 yards out of it. But
yes,
I frankly think he could hit that over in like 2 rushing attempts on scrambles or something. I don't know. And it's not going to be easy to bring him down either. That's what you sit and talk. He's sneaky strong. I mean, he's strong. So you could get back there and get pressure on him, and I could see him just kind of getting out of sacks and throwing it away, and then obviously that. So, yeah, no, I'm pretty confident in the over for there.
All righty. 25.5 the number there for Arch Manning. Over is -114, but Riley, also on Texas in general, their money line is -110 as things stand. Really fun game on Saturday afternoon as well. That is LSU taking on Clemson, and this one just moved. It was Clemson by 3.5. It's now to Clemson -4.5, only -106 in the 4.5 there. Total in this game is at 57.5. Both quarterbacks in this game, Riley, experienced. They have NFL aspirations. You were talking about Mendoza being a potential first rounder. These guys could be too. So what's your read on this game? LSU taking on Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the big picture of this, like you mentioned, is the quarterbacks. Actually, the market for the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft has been moving, and Garrett Nussmeier is the favorite, and Cade Klubnik's right behind him. So that points to maybe we'll have some really good quarterback play, all this and that. But overall, the biggest thing I'm buying into in this matchup is Clemson's defense, which is turning me for LSU to go under 26.5 points on their team total. Frankly, we all know LSU just lost a lot on their offensive line. You're losing both tackles, including, Will Campbell, that was just a monster his entire career. Not something you can easily replace. Obviously, having to immediately do that week 1 on the road against a Clemson team that brings back, I think it's 16 starters, so 8 on either side of the ball. So a ton of experience back. And just overall, we've heard so many times since Clemson has kind of, I guess, fallen off here, like, oh, Clemson's going to be back this year, this and that. This is the year that I'm actually really buying into it, just in terms of the changes they made in the offseason, things like that. Like, their defense just feels like, I'm not saying it's going to be Brent Venables' defense, because Brent Venables is not there, but it feels similar to that recipe. I mean, they go out and get Tom Allen as their defensive coordinator. That was a huge hire. And then you look at like their defensive line, and it's back to like just loaded with NFL talent. Peter Woods and TJ Parker, they're both projected to go in the top 10 of the upcoming draft. They have another potential first rounder with Avion Terrell at cornerback. They have a stud linebacker in Sammy Brown. So, I mean, this just feels similar. I mean, you got a loaded defensive line. You have that linebacker that's constantly making plays. You got some NFL talent in the secondary. And then I'm just worried about LSU's offensive line in this matchup. And then you get into the run game. LSU's run game wasn't very productive last year. If anything, you could argue it's going to be worse this year with their offensive line taking a step back. And then you get into the fact that Clemson just has these space eaters on their defensive line. If you're not running the ball on the road, like that's a recipe for disaster usually. So, yeah, I'm just really leaning Clemson here. I mean, you could really spin this anywhere you want. You could turn it into, hey, LSU's not going to score much. Clemson's going to cover. I mean, just anything Clemson I like in this one.
And it sounds like your favorite bet here is the LSU team total under 26.5 and minus 106, which kind of incorporates a lot of the stuff you discussed, where the offensive line, could struggle to hold off the Clemson pass rush, the Clemson defense, returning a lot of key starters, LSU going on the road in week 1, tough road environment too. So like, I feel like if you're buying into a lot of the stuff you're talking about, this is the best market for doing so.
Yeah. A lot of belief in this Clemson defense. I think it's going to finally, get back to at least close to what it was a few years ago.
All right. So Riley is on the LSU team total under 26.5 minus 106 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's talk now about the Sunday night game. One of my favorite college football games every year is the Labor Day weekend Sunday night game. We get a banger to open things up here this weekend. That is Miami taking on Notre Dame. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Notre Dame is favored by 2.5 in this game, and the total is sitting at 49.5. It's the Carson Beck and CJ Carr eras beginning on Sunday night. Plenty of uncertainty here because we don't know what either guy will look like in their new respective systems. So any bets stand out to you in this game, Riley?
Yeah, it makes me nervous that you got almost 80% of the public taking Notre Dame to cover here. But this pick for me, I got Notre Dame covering. And the biggest thing for me is Miami is probably my biggest fade of the season. I mean, even with just the absurd numbers they were putting up last year, they still managed to just kind of falter late in the year. And now you're talking about a team that's, replacing their top rusher. They're replacing their top 6 receivers from last year. And really the only major addition they make to the receiving core is CJ Daniels from LSU. And he's never really put up any, he's not this guy that's putting up 1,000 yards every year or anything like that. Obviously Carson Beck was a big get for them, but it's kind of, to me, I mean, it's something I'll talk about later when we get to other bets, but this offense feels similar to like a UCLA. It's like, cool, you go out and you get this great quarterback, but who is he throwing to?
Sure.
That's my problem. And then Notre Dame, I mean, I just believe in their defense. I always will under Marcus Freeman, and they bring back, several key guys, especially in their secondary. And to me, the most reliable thing in this matchup is going to be Jeremiah Love for Notre Dame. I think they'll get the run game going. Miami's defense was obviously a major issue last year. That was part of the reason they, didn't meet expectations. They brought in a new defensive coordinator, but again, like, did they make any huge moves or anything in the transfer portal? Not really. I mean, the defense is inexperienced, and obviously you're revamping the system. There's going to be growing pains. I just don't see it coming out and just being dramatically better immediately. And they already struggled to stop the run a season ago. Meanwhile, Notre Dame's returning, I believe it's 3 starting offensive linemen. You have Jeremiah Love back. So I'm not a big fan of Miami's offense and where it's headed. And then if Notre Dame has a run game going, to me, they could probably win this pretty comfortably.
Yeah, the Miami defense you alluded to was frustrating for me all year. I was a Cam Ward fan, and I wanted to watch him in the playoff, and they refused to let me have that joy. So I am fully on board with fading the Miami defense out of spite, basically, for what happened there. The Notre Dame minus 2.5 is minus 114 at FanDuel Sportsbook. So like Riley said, people back in Notre Dame, as they typically do, but Riley is still riding with them. Minus 2.5, minus 114 as they take on Miami in this Sunday night game. Okay, Riley, those are the 3 biggest games this weekend. Any other bets stand out to you across the rest of this week 1 slate?
Yeah, so I previewed the idea of UCLA a little bit. So I'm looking at Utah versus UCLA. Utah's favored by 5.5. I do like them to cover that. And again, just similar ideas I was throwing out there with Miami. UCLA's obviously not the same level as like Miami, but similar ideas. They go out and get I already know I'm going to butcher this. You know how to say it. Nico.
Iamaliava.
All right. Thank you. But, up and down last year, he's still very talented. But UCLA's entire success is just going to ride on how good he's going to be. Skill position players aren't anything great. Their Pro Football Focus, their wins above average metric has them losing 8 of their 10 most valuable defenders from a season ago. So a bunch of questions for the defense. Utah, obviously, very disappointing last year, but most of that was just the offense just barely did anything, but they went out and just made a lot of changes. They bring in Jason Beck as offensive coordinator from New Mexico. New Mexico put up almost 7 yards per play last year, finished 3rd in the country in that. So, you go out and get an exciting offensive coordinator. They get a quarterback transfer in Devon Dampier. They get some running backs and Wayshawn Parker and Nakari Rogers. So just and Dampier put up almost 1,200 rushing yards as a quarterback last year. So just Utah's probably going to be leaning into the run a lot. And then you get into UCLA just kind of trying to figure it out on defense. I wouldn't be surprised if this just turns into Utah rolling, especially with them returning a lot of experience on defense. And last year on defense, they allowed the 4th fewest expected points added per passing attempt. And that goes hand in hand with the whole idea of like who is UCLA throwing to. So I guess the biggest strength of the roster, I mean, their quarterback play could be not great against a good defense. And then again, you get the run game going, it could get ugly. So I'm pretty firm on Utah covering this.
All right. That is a +5.5 at FanDuel Sportsbook, -110. You mentioned the disappointment for the offense last year. Kind of made sense with the Cam Rising situation that they would struggle. Like they had this plan in place and it never came to fruition. Yep. The one issue I have here is the idea of Jason Beck, BYU legend, coaching at Utah throws me off. Like it feels like holy war joke, sacrilegious to have this happen. So I like a big mental block there. Seeing Jason Beck at Utah, that frightens me.
It definitely does not feel right. That's for sure.
All righty, but Riley is on Utah despite the sacrilege. -5.5 at -110. That is all that we have here for today and this week on covering the spread. But as mentioned, back with you for a full slate next week, Tuesday through Friday here on the show, Monday through Friday the week after that. So subscribe to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts, and also check out the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Leave us a thumbs up if you like what Riley said over there. Riley, appreciate the time. Good luck to you Saturday with the Buckeyes game. Enjoy. Take your mind off the NFL for a bit, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what Sand looks like here. He has one of the quickest releases I've ever seen. So I'm very excited to see if he turns into what he could.
It'd be fun to get some answers, which would be exciting. And that's not just for Ohio State, but for every team. It's always a lot of unknowns, and we get fewer unknowns after week 1. You can find Riley on X at _Riley8. Check him out at FanDuel Research. I am on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your week 1 college football bets. We'll talk to you once again on Tuesday to break down every single NFL Week 1 game. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.